Hi, I'm firearms attorney Gilbert Ambler, and I'm back today to talk about Trump's picks for director of the FBI, which is Kash Patel, and Trump's pick for attorney general, which is Pam Bondi, and what those picks likely signal, what they likely mean for gun owners going forward. We're going to try to do a little forecasting here, and I'll tell you at the outset, I am not typically a political commentator. That's not what I do for a living. I certainly don't know everything. I'm sure people are going to jump me in the comment sections about all the things that I don't know. But I have had several people ask me what I think it means for gun owners. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is what these picks, the significance of these picks for gun owners down the road. And as always, before we dive into this subject, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, like, comment with your thoughts, share with your friends. That way you and your friends can keep getting this important Second Amendment related content. I want to start with the easier of the two picks to digest, which is, I think, Kash Patel for director of FBI. And Mr. Patel is a former prosecutor. He's also a former defense attorney, both in the federal system. Lots of good experience there. And one of the things that stood out to me was that he accepted an invitation and, in fact, did show up to Gun Owners of America's inaugural convention in Knoxville, Tennessee this past August as a featured speaker. And so just the fact that he's willing to show up at an event like that and talk to gun owners, and he knows Gun Owners of America position on this stuff, shows that he is firmly in the camp of being a friend to gun owners. But I thought one of the more interesting things in what his pick might signal is something that I extrapolated from his talk, which his talk was on the deep state and how the deep state protects itself and protects embedded politicians in Washington through the unlawful or improper use of redaction in reports. And so essentially what he said is that the FBI redacts all sorts, and all intelligence agencies redact all sorts of reports beyond what is appropriate, and frequently are redacting these reports citing national security, really in an effort to cover up their own misdeeds. And so I think one of the things that we could expect with Kash Patel as director of the FBI is that he's going to have a lot more transparency. He's going to declassify a lot of the things that remain classified. Now, what that means for Americans and what that means for gun owners is certainly very uncertain. Because of the classification of these documents, we don't know what they might show us if they become declassified. But I think gun owners in particular are going to be very, very interested in the declassification because frequently gun control has followed terrible events in our nation's history. Gun control followed the attempt on Ronald Reagan's life. Gun control followed the shooting in Las Vegas. That's going to be an interesting one to get declassified. And I want to take you back to prior to that Vegas shooting, because prior to that Vegas shooting, remember, we had Trump in office, and there was starting to have momentum building for national reciprocity. And then all of a sudden, this terrible event happens in Las Vegas. Countless people murdered, dozens of people murdered, and the FBI can essentially tell us nothing about how it happened. Now, I'm not saying that if these files get unredacted, it's going to show that this was an inside job. I'm not saying that. I certainly don't know that. But what did the FBI know, and when did they know it? And what steps could they have taken to have stopped it? Essentially, what I'm curious about is how has the FBI failed us? What did they know? Could they have stopped that? And did they not take stops? Were they negligent in stopping it? And we certainly know this about many of the mass shootings that have taken place in recent years where there was contact and the FBI did have awareness of who the shooter was and yet didn't follow up, didn't take steps that actually could have stopped these shootings. In fact, at times, the steps that could have been taken is simply enforcing laws that were already on the books, and the FBI failed to do it. So I think the transparency there is going to be good. Now, for Attorney General, I think it's a far more mixed bag. Pam Bondi for Attorney General, and if you look back at Miss Bondi's history, the NRA initially endorsed Miss Bondi, and then the NRA wound up retracting their support for her over her shifting positions on gun laws. Now, she has said some things that I think, I'm not even going to say that they're helpful for gun laws, because I think they are simply just common sense. Like, she has come out against a ban on semi-automatic weapons when Connecticut tried to do that. Again, I'm not going to give her credit for this. This is just common sense. One of the more concerning things that she did, however, was as Attorney General in Florida, in response to the Parkland mass shooting. Once again, we're going to look at mass shootings and how they affect the political process. In response to that Parkland shooting, she was one of the first ones to speak up and really push, and keep in mind, this is in a Republican state, push violence risk laws, essentially red flag orders, emergency violence risk assessment laws. And so she led the charge for Republican states in implementing red flag laws. She also raised the age to purchase a long gun, rifles, and shotguns, which typically an 18-year-old, according to federal law, can go purchase a rifle or a shotgun. She bumped that up to 21. She also banned bump stocks at the state level in Florida. So a lot of very concerning signs in terms of Miss Bondi and her relationship to the Second Amendment and what she believes the Second Amendment actually protects. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the conservative values you want, but the Second Amendment is really a litmus test. If you are going to come after and infringe upon the rights protected by the Second Amendment, what that tells me is that you don't have respect for any of our other constitutional rights. You believe that they can all be taken away when it's important to the government. And so for that reason, I think Pam Bondi's nomination is or coming nomination, her pick by President Trump, is very, very concerning because it shows us the type of person she is and the fact that she believes constitutional rights are negotiable. And I hate to tell you this, but at the end of the day, that's the same belief system that the current Attorney General has under Biden, Mr. Garland, with respect to constitutional rights when it comes to the Second Amendment. He believes that all of them can be negotiated away, and I say all of them, believes a lot of them can be negotiated away, and he has been very active in attempting to do this, and I'm afraid that with Pam Bondi as Attorney General, we're not going to fare any better. If you enjoyed this content, give us a like, give us a subscribe, comment with your thoughts below. I look forward to reading them. Until next time.